Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today, this time with an X article from John Spencer. I've done a few articles by him before, the war professor here, and this article says, and it's something I've thought for a while, so we're going back to that Israel-Gaza well, and it says, at this point, if you still claim Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, you are either stupid or ignorant or anti-Semitic. I'd actually combine those first two together, stupid/ignorant or just anti-Semitic, because it could be three options, but whatever, let's just go ahead and get into it. It says the anti-Semitic version usually means applying a double standard on the definition of genocide and the laws of war, just to delegitimize Israel's existence or right to pursue legitimate goals in a war it did not start, and or dehumanize every IDF soldier as a monster. I have tried to argue basic definitions. Genocide requires intent to destroy a national, I'm sorry. For some reason I was thinking of a different word and tripped myself up there. So genocide requires intent to destroy a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such, in whole or in part. The evidence does not show that intent toward the people in Gaza. What it shows is the opposite. Israel has taken extraordinary steps, often at real cost and risk, to prevent civilian harm while fighting an enemy that hides among them, uses hospitals and schools as bases, and treats its own people as props in an evil, grand political strategy of martyrdom to eliminate all Jews on the planet. And Mr. Spencer capitalized that Jews there at the bottom, because that should be. It's a proper noun. It says, in the middle of the fighting, Israel has let in huge amounts of food, hundreds of thousands of tons, sometimes more than the World Food Specialist said was needed. And if people don't believe that, all I'll say is that the amount of calories that the Palestinians are getting every day is slightly, and I'm talking like slightly less than what I eat per day. It's usually like, or what I'm allowed, I should say, or not allowed, but what I try to stay under. It usually is around the same amount of calories that I eat, okay? So it says, water lines from Israel have stayed open, 3 of them supplying tens of thousands of cubic meters a day. They have coordinated repairs, kept desalination plants running by sending fuel and even electricity to key ones, and allowed generators so water systems, hospitals, and bakeries can keep working. Medical supplies and equipment have poured in by the tens of thousands of tons. Field hospitals coordinated. Patients have been evacuated for treatment outside. When polio showed up for the first time in decades, Israel halted fighting every day and worked with the WHO and UNICEF on a mass vaccination campaign. Over 1 million doses given. That is not how you try to wipe out a people. We're going to try to wipe you guys out by saving all of you from a disease. So I know Israel's bad at a lot of things, but if they're trying to commit a genocide, they are the worst. It says, then look at the misinformation machine. Almost every big claim about Israel deliberately targeting journalists or medical staff or children falls apart, and a lot of the time it falls apart because of what Hamas itself admits, sometimes before anyone even finishes basic fact-checking. The journalists, in scare quotes, killed, for example. Plenty of the names in those lists later show up in Hamas or Islamic Jihad martyr posts as actual operatives or commanders. I did, I think, 2 videos on that you can definitely go check out. It says, dual roles are common in Gaza's information space. Same with medical workers. People mourned as nurses or doctors get claimed later by the terror groups as fighters. Hospitals have been used as command centers and weapon storage over and over. Hamas officials have even said it out loud at times. Manuals found on how to use the hospitals as Hamas military sites. The casualty numbers and the "they are targeting children" stories. The Hamas health ministry figures get treated like gospel, yet their own underlying data and later admissions undercut every trending statistic. Combatants get left out or reclassified. Claims of IDF snipers or drones hunting kids usually fail basic reality of sci-fi sniper drones that don't exist, or injury patterns coming out of the same hospitals. These stories do not need years of investigation to collapse. Often Hamas's own words or the available evidence do the job within days or weeks. But the first maximalist version is what spreads and sticks and then gets used to accuse the whole country of Israel and its army of genocidal intent. Couldn't have said it better myself there. That's 100% true. What's that saying that, like, the lie can go around the world 3 times before the truth is found out? It's basically this entire quagmire in one quote. So, finishing this off here, not much more to go. It says, it is not illegal or wrong to target and destroy your enemy in a war, especially one that started with a massacre, held hostages, and fights from inside the civilian population it claims to protect. Gaza is an awful war with awful conditions shaped heavily by Hamas's tactics. That does not make it a genocide. The aid that kept flowing, the vaccination campaigns, the water and power facilitation, and the way the propaganda claims kept falling apart all point in the other direction. If you ignore all of that and yet still yell genocide, the explanations left are ignorance or a double standard aimed only at Israel. But this entire stupid campaign, every war in history, or I should say this entire campaign, every war in history is a genocide. I think what he means to say is just that by like the logic of what they're saying a genocide is, that means every war in history was a genocide. So I think he just flubbed that last sentence there. Anyway, one more sentence says, if you actually want to engage in the debate of intent or actions in Gaza, see earlier writings, and they are down here on his X post, and this article, or I should say this post, because it really is a post, not an article. It is linked below as well, so you can definitely go check it out whenever you want to. But that's it. I just did another video on this not being a genocide, and it never was. So that's all I got to say. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.